Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you joining me today. We are going to continue the trend from our video on Tuesday about the leadership trends, but today I'm going to give you the leadership blueprint. After spending the last few months reviewing a bunch of different leadership trending reports, expert sources, executive behaviors, what I am hoping to do by the end of this video is that I will give you a complete blueprint of the mindset, character traits, habits, etc. that you need to build trust, drive results, and outperform. I don't care what industry you're in. And so we'll give you the core skills, daily behaviors, and what you need to build a high performing team, and the 10 upgrades that you must make this year to be effective. Most leadership advice is outdated, oversimplified, and completely disconnected from today's reality in April 2025. And that's why this video is here. So without further ado, let's dive in to the critical skills that you must develop as a leader. So the first and foremost, number one, unequivocally, these aren't particular in any order, but I'm going to declare this first one number one: AI fluency. This is not about coding. It's not about being, super nerdy and geeky and building your own model. No, this is just simply being competent with AI. You need to understand how to interact with it, how it can make you a better leader, how it can amplify your judgment, your capabilities, what you are able to do as a leader and as a professional in this regard. And so you want to use this to augment yourself as a leader. You can use this in two different ways. You can use it to strengthen your strengths, good old iron sharpens iron, or you can use it to fill your gaps. So maybe you aren't great at Excel and spreadsheets, but you're really good at people, or you are really good at technical and tactical, but you're maybe mediocre with people, right? You can use it in either of those different ways. The key thing that you want to learn here is going to be prompt engineering, learning to interact with it. Basic frameworks that I always like to point out there are RACE, CREATE, and RISE. Let's ignore the acronyms for a second and let's boil it down into really simple terms. The core of every good AI prompt is that you are going to give it the role. What is it doing? So is it a marketer? Is it a IT professional? Is it a Excel expert? Is it a data analyst? Who is it and what is it doing? Okay, so that's the role that it's going to do. What are the actions that you want AI to take? So is it maybe just going to have a conversation with you and maybe help you brainstorm ideas? Is it going to look at a spreadsheet, analyze data, and come to a conclusion? Is it going to write software code for you and your team? Whatever it might be. So again, what is the set of actions that it's going to do? What is the context? So what is the surrounding information to the action that you're going to have it doing? So again, to maybe piggyback on the example I gave there of analyzing data in a spreadsheet. Maybe this is marketing data that includes your demographic, the age, the race, the sex, and location, geography, purchasing habits of your people. And you want it to this is all coming out of your marketing CRM and your e-commerce stack, and you are looking to identify what products are the most popular and what products to double down on, and maybe where to invest some R&D, right? And you want to then take this in the output. How do you want this to be presented? Do you want a table? Do you want a list? Do you want a priority bulleted list? Whatever it might be. So that's kind of your core sense of this framework. And that is effectively RACE in a nutshell, right? So role, action, context, expected outcome. That's what that stands for. Now, the deviations for create and rise. So create is going to add in examples. So again, maybe this is a report or a task you've historically done. And now you're just looking to save yourself time from having to build these reports or run them or whatever and analyze the data. And instead you just want AI to do it. And maybe you can do it smarter. So you want to say, hey, here's the previous outcomes and things that I've done. Here's what I want you to do. And that's what the create framework is about, is that you're also providing it examples and expected changes. Now, the RISE framework adds in step-by-step process. So maybe it's a multi-step process that you wanted to do. So you have to take a PDF that gets exported from a system, and then you need to look at a bunch of particular columns of data maybe, and then convert those into decimals. And then you can put those decimals into an Excel spreadsheet and then do a bunch of math and formulas on them. Well, you can give it the step-by-step process of what you do, give it the original PDF, and then it can just output that end result Excel document, right? So if you already have an SOP, you can give it that SOP, but you still need to do both those deviations of the examples and the step-by-step process, include that role, action, context, and expected outcome. So that's kind of your core basic framework. You can look up many other sources in terms of other frameworks. OpenAI just released a pretty big document on it. Google also released a huge best practices guide on prompt engineering. But you, as a leader, need to learn how to have AI fluency and lead by example. To do this, to facilitate conversations, have strategic planning. It could be, again, making good business decisions, whatever it might be. Okay. Next skill we need to learn: systems thinking. Keep it simple. Good old KISS. Keep it simple, stupid, right? So historically, a lot of things have been a very complex, mostly for unnecessary reasons, right? Which leads to a lot of second and third order degree consequences. But we are really getting back to a time where things are simplifying. And so building simple, repeatable systems. And at the end of the day, also, because the simpler that you can make things, the more that you can automate them. And that is the root of everything that's happening right now from a global and economy and societal perspective, is that things are being automated, they're being fed to AI, whatever it might be. So keep things simple. And when you, as a leader, when you are the only one that is able to do something, or you just have to sit in a silo, right? Like you drown. I said in my previous video, 72% of leaders are feeling like that they're just burnt out or like used up at the end of the day. Get yourself well above water to where you're not even touching it. You're not just walking on it, you're flying above it, right? By delegating, automating, simplifying, get into a systems mindset. Because if you can demonstrate, document, and delegate, 3 Ds that will save your life there, then you can hand it off, whether that's to a human being, to a piece of technology, to AI, whatever. Build systems for every single thing you do. And then the second you have the opportunity to actually delegate, because you demonstrated and documented, delegate. Okay. Another critical skill is going to be strategic foresight. No, this sounds fancy, but at the end of the day, you're just trying to be able to have as good of predicting and forecasting as you can. Most people have this skill on the leadership side when it comes to two areas. One is going to be budgeting, and the other is going to be resource allocation. So whether or not you're hiring, you're firing, you're upskilling, up leveling, and then from a budgeting perspective, where are you spending your money, etc. And so what you want to do is kind of take those same frameworks, but put it into decision making. So when you're thinking about what projects to prioritize, what is actually going to be the biggest bang for the buck? How do I maybe mitigate risk or mitigate downside? Here's the great thing. I'm going to circle back. AI can help you do a lot of this. It can actually analyze a lot of your historical data, department performance, personnel performance, etc., pinpoint trends, weak gaps, learnings, where you need to true things up, and help you make decisions and help you allocate things accordingly. Okay. But you really need to practice your prediction engine. It is just like anything else. The more you practice your prediction engine, the more refined it will be, the more accurate it will be, and the more consistent it will be. And so right now, take the opportunity to fail fast, fail quick, and pivot. Okay. Because here's the thing, you're going to predict and you're going to miss. We all do it. We are all human. None of us are perfect. Even AI or any system or any technology also isn't perfect. So outsourcing it isn't necessarily going to solve the problem either. It can provide you different perspectives, which is exactly what you want to do. So you want to learn to not only bounce ideas off of AI or other peers, or even kind of in your own noggin there, but you want to actually take the action to put it in place and be willing to fail. That will be key to your successful leadership moving forward, is your willingness to fail, which is rooted in your prediction engine. So gain some foresight, gain some forecasting, take it to the next level, try, iterate, do it over and over again. Learning to navigate change. People don't like change. Nobody's alone in that. I'm pretty sure like 90% of humans on the planet do not like change. So right now, change is more rapid than ever. It's like I said, strategic foresight, fail fast, fail quick, pivot. That is where it is at. Accenture previously put out a study that showed 180% increase in change pace over the last 4 years. So if you are somebody who does not do well with change, it stresses you out, it burns you out, it brings you down a peg, it makes you uncertain, which makes you stressed and anxious, etc. Learn to be comfortable with it. As David Goggins says, become comfortable being uncomfortable. That is the state that we are in right now. For those of you that are willing to be adaptable, get comfortable with the change, and understand that it is a real possibility that your tomorrow looks nothing like your today, that's okay. Those are going to be the winners. That is what we need to do as leaders, is because when we become comfortable with change, when we are okay making predictions, when we are okay failing, when we are building simple systems that are scalable, that sets the tone for our team, our contributors, and even our superiors. Okay. These are the critical skills that you need to develop here in 2025. End of story. Recap: AI fluency, systems thinking, strategic foresight, change navigation, change management, whatever term you want to call that one. Doesn't matter. Okay. That's what's going to lead you to be successful. All right. Next up is going to be our character traits. What are the character traits that are most valued here in 2025? I will admit part of this is because we have a very, very new and different generation entering the workforce. With younger millennials and Gen Z, they are looking for very different things from their leaders than baby boomers, Gen Xers, and honestly, even the weird batch that I'm in, which is kind of that mid to older millennial. Like, we're sort of an outlier that I think has straddles both sides of the equation. Uh, to where I kind of say I feel like I'm almost a perfect age because I remember a rotary phone in my house and now I have a supercomputer in my pocket. So there's a lot of traditional old school and new school awesomeness that blend together, I think, in that mid to older millennial age. But there's definitely a lot that has changed here. You could say it's for better or worse, but at the end of the day, it's just needed straight up. The biggest thing I think that's going to be the struggle for a lot of leaders to hear is that you need to be willing to take ownership without your ego getting in the way. This is where most leaders fall down from an ownership perspective, is that they feel that because their team failed on something or because their team didn't deliver as well, that it hurts their ego. And ignore your ego. Learn from it, right? One of the best lessons I learned is when I was not a leader of a team, but instead I caused a technology outage that cost a company a couple $1,000,000 in a single day. And I had to have a conversation with the CEO in the middle of it. It was a very short conversation, but that was actually the learning experience. Was when I got a direct call from him, I said, "Hey, I can't talk to you right now because I need to stop you from losing money. But when I am done stopping the bleeding, I will give you a call and let you know what's going on." And he said, "Perfect. I appreciate it." Click, right? Got back to work. And here's the thing: what I really learned is when I called him back, I did not call him back until the problem was solved. It was mitigated moving forward. It was documented. We had processes and procedures in place to make sure it didn't happen before, and that knowledge transfer occurred. So while the overall training didn't occur, I did blast out an email to my whole team with the new SOP, with what happened, how to prevent it, why it happened, etc. Right? So when I called him back, I was able to give him all this. Again, ironically, very quick conversation. Here's what happened. Here's what my team did. Here's what I did. Here's what the issue was. Here's how we make sure it's not going to happen moving forward. And we've already, sent out the email, created the documentation, and built the systems in place. I kid you not. It was a 30-second conversation. And he said, "Okay, that's everything I needed to know." I appreciate it, right? So don't take it personally because you caused a screw up or your team caused a screw up or whatever it is. On the flip side, don't let your ego get inflated because your team had a win or because you had a win, right? Keep your ego out of it and just own the situation, own the outcomes, own the mistakes, own the standards, and uplift everybody on your team to them and hold yourself to it. Lead by example. The faster you can get your ego out of this scenario, the faster that your entire team will win. And this actually leads into another one, which is that I'm going to say, I know this is the buzzword all the craze nowadays when it comes to content creation, but being authentic, like just being a human being and not a corporate robot, putting out there your flaws, your awesomeness, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between, right? Just being an authentic human, not trying to be this high and mighty, well, I'm your leader, I'm your manager and director, which means that I'm better than you. Like, no, when you screw up, own it. Even be willing. One of the things that I actually did in a previous meeting of mine, I purposefully made myself look like an idiot. Literally told my team lead, my right hand, "Hey, I'm going to ask you a very stupid question. It's going to be a very basic question, but it's because people have not been asking questions the last couple of meetings. So I'm going to ask you a stupid question. You're going to give me the answer. You're going to teach me and coach me. And hopefully, this might lead to some other people asking some questions. And guess what? Worked like a charm. When people realize that it's okay to ask stupid questions, that you don't have to know everything, that you can fail, that you can cause an outage, that you can disrupt the meeting or disrupt the thing with a question because you don't understand, and that it's welcomed, it goes such a long way. It's just like the fallacy of a kid thinking that their parent and that adults know everything all of a sudden because they're 18 years old or 25 years old. Like, you don't know jack. Just be authentic. Be yourself. Let the people see who you are. That does not mean to, again, remove the ownership. It does not mean to hold feet to the fire, to hold standards, to own the outcomes, to uplift people and bring them up, and also put them down in a way that's very respectful and professional when that's needed as well, right? But you can do that and be authentic, and it will carry more weight when you do it. The amount of repeat conversations you will have to have is pretty shocking, unless that person just sucks. Okay. Another one that I want to talk about here is gotta be being so sort of similar to the removing your ego, but just be emotionally neutral. This is something that I did not realize I was learning and training in my general career path of being in IT. Uh, but IT is either like smooth sailing, happy, hunky dory, you're just innovating, doing cool stuff, or the entire building is on fire once you get to a certain level in your career. And so you're either dealing with emergencies or you're like, oh, I can just go swimming right now. Like it's one of the two. Like it's either super calm or you're in a storm. And so when you're in the storm, you learn to become calm under pressure because you can't write scripts and troubleshoot and things like that when your mind is just frantic and stressed. But this is something that the more that I talk to other leaders and the more that I reflect on the leaders that I have had, not only did I incredibly value the leaders that had this skill, but the ones that didn't, I also didn't value that. And I think that this just goes hand in hand with that authenticity and ownership piece, right? Is being the emotionally neutral person. So that when, shit hits the fan, it's fine. It's kosher. It's good, right? And people know that at the same time, when they come to you and are like, hey, I royally screwed this up. Like, this customer is pissed off. I said this to them. They didn't like it. I didn't realize, right, that you're not going to just go off the handle and fly out the wall, but instead you're going to go, okay. And here's the irony, flip it around and go, so what do we do to fix it? Right? Give them the opportunity to level it up. But it just really creates that truly open door philosophy or policy when you really bring all three of these things together. When you take ownership of the mistakes of your team, when you take ownership of the wins of your team, when you just take ownership across the board of the outcomes and the standards in your people, and you are authentic with them and you are consistently emotionally neutral with them, the amount that you will be able to bring out of them and interact with them and actually get what you need is insane. I will actually give you an example here with my current team. Something that was just super crazy is we had a pretty big organizational shift, and we honestly did not know if it was going to be like a do or die scenario. And not only did the organizational shift, because we were transparent about it, we facilitated it, we were calm, and we just gave people standards, autonomy, growth, the ability to fail and experiment and try. Not only was it a do and not a die, but it was 10x even the do that we imagine in our mind. Um, and so truly just, again, be human, be a good character, own the team, the standards, and the operation, and just be emotionally neutral. So I always like to give people some actions, just very, very simple things that you can do. And so here is sort of what I am bringing in from kind of my 5 key. I kind of want to say daily actions, but one of them is literally not daily. So we're just going to say 5 consistent actions with an asterisk of daily. So the first one is actually stealing from Agile project management or a lot of project management philosophies and a way a lot of companies already currently operate. which is daily huddles, right? Bring your team together. These doesn't have to be verbose. I have been a part of daily huddles that are an hour long and are just miserable. Okay. That's not what these are for. These are meant to be very, very focused and quick. Depending on the size of your team, I would say on average, these should be between 5 and 15 people. If your team is very large, or maybe it's a multi-team alignment that comes together. So like previously I worked for an organization that actually brought together 4 teams, which consisted of 25 to 30 people total in a single huddle every single day. And so what happened is the most senior people spoke, right? The people that weren't senior fed to them anything that was relevant, and then they would announce. But the whole team would be there for the discussion, but it just less talking stakeholders effectively, right? Which made it, cut down time significantly. But all you're trying to do, 3 things. 1, clarify what people are currently working on. What are you doing today? Because you don't need to tell me the whole week, or you don't need to tell me tomorrow, because we're going to meet again tomorrow. So what are you doing today? Or what is happening today in your group of people? Again, if maybe you're speaking for a group. What are the roadblocks? What are things that are preventing success and achievement of said objectives? And 3, how do we remove it? How do we remove those roadblocks? And here's the thing, the removing the roadblocks might not even happen in that conversation. It might just lead to, hey, let's take this offline. We don't need to bog down the rest of the people. Let's just take this one-on-one or department on department or whatever it might be, and then let everybody else go. Should be super, super quick, but having that connection point, human to human, and building that teamwork of everybody getting together every day, wonders. Do it. Okay. 2, I'm going to say, I'm just going to go with radical. It's the first word that comes to mind. Radically prioritize your time blocks. Okay. You could do this a variety of ways. So whether or not you want to use Pomodoro methods, that's my preferred method. I've also done calendar time blocking, to where I will just block out chunks of time on my calendar where people can't schedule meetings. Whatever it might be. Yeah, and maybe you also even go a step further. I really like this one, where you dedicate days to specific purposes. So like maybe you are in a role where you have to manage people, manage customers, and innovate product. So maybe what you do is you're like, hey, first half of Monday is for people. Second half of Monday is for product management. First half of Tuesday, right? Like you kind of block out what function you are performing within given chunks of the day or the week. But block out your time. Protect your time. Okay. And when you are protecting your time, use it wisely. Already know going into that time block what that thing is. So one of the tips that I used to do, or hacks I used to use, is when I was time blocking my calendar. So when I was saying, hey, I'm going to take these 2 hours for me to do blank, and it was reoccurring. So like maybe I would just block out consistently, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. or something like that. And I would do that maybe a couple days a week. I would have a running list of what my priority was in that email. So when I popped up the reminder, it was 15 minutes before. I'd open that and go, boom, that's what I'm working on, wrap up what I'm doing. 15 minutes later, I already knew what I was doing in the next time block, right? So you can keep this running and keep it top of mind. So you also don't have to spend the time thinking, hey, what am I supposed to be doing in this time block? It's boom, right in front of your face. Right now, I use a program called TickTick. I love it. It is phenomenal. You can do prioritizations, Eisenhower matrix, Pomodoro cycles and timers in it, calendaring, all of it. So there's a bunch of different ways to do this. But the moral of the story is, on a daily basis, make sure your time is protected and you are able to move things forward. If you enter tomorrow in the same spot you entered today, you did not radically prioritize. Okay? And make sure that all along in this as well, you are looking for opportunities to delegate, automate, or deprioritize. All along the way. Okay. Third one. A lot of you are going to hate this, but it is crucial. Self-reflection. I don't care about the cadence of which you do this. I don't think I would go longer than a month. Again, this may not necessarily have to be daily. It all depends on kind of your personality, and your schedule. I have kind of tinkered, and it's funny because I actually personally don't like to formally have time for this. Like, I don't sit at the end of every day and spend 5 minutes journaling about reflection. That's not my style. It doesn't really work for me. I very much am like a organic between tasks. My brain will just naturally reflect and go, okay, like what went well, what didn't, why was that good, why was that bad, what could I have done better. So I've actually learned almost sort of like a reflexive reflection is kind of what I have built, that when my brain has the opportunity, it likes to take a reflection period. Because when I actually need to settle my mind, I am doing a dedicated meditation block, or I'm working out, or whatever it might be. So because my brain knows that those times are actually when it's going to settle and rest. So if I'm not in one of my radically prioritized time blocks, and I'm not in a, meditation personal time mode, then I have the opportunity to reflect. Boom, my brain will just immediately kick into reflection. Um, at a minimum, I recommend a monthly, but if you do it on a monthly basis, I'm going to tell you to take the whole day. I don't want you to take a meeting. I don't want you to take a call. I don't want you to do jack diddly squat. I want you to take a whole day. You wake up, you do your morning routine, you maybe do your personal stuff in terms of like working out, eating, right? Taking care of yourself, blah, blah, blah. And every other minute is reflection. What were your wins? What were your losses? What could you change? What do you need to learn? What's the next big thing? What are the bottlenecks that you just can't remove from your life? Where are you comfortable? Where are you uncomfortable? All of that stuff. Okay. Need to do, and then you need to do some sort of reflection. So whether it's daily, whether it's weekly, whether it's every other day, whether it's bi-weekly, figure out the cadence that works for you. But when you actually sit down to consistently analyze and figure out what was right and what was wrong, your people will thank you. Okay. Fourth habit, weekly one-on-ones. But the key that I want you to change is you're coaching in these one-on-ones. You're not checking in. So it's not, okay, what are you currently working on? How is this thing going? Right? If you have something that are maybe super, super high priority and you want to have a couple minutes in that, fine. Like, I'll be honest. So I typically do 30-minute one-on-ones every single week, once a week with my team. And I definitely will spend a few minutes focused on that. But then I like to focus on, where are we growing? What is next? What would make your life easier? Where are you kind of under leveraged? Like, how do we get you to where you want to go? How do we increase your value? Right. And every now and again, the checking in part does take up the whole time, but shifting that habit, which is honestly very difficult. And I myself am still working on it, because I do get caught up in the checking sometimes. Shifting to coaching oriented one-on-ones is crucial. One of my favorite stats I recently learned about in the last couple of months is that organizations, let's see if I can remember all three components. Organizations that are bottom up training, coaching led, typically outperform their competition by 33%, lead to a, what's the percentage? I don't remember the percentage, lead to increased employee engagement, which then resulted in 23% more profitability and 18% more productivity. Okay. So turn yourself into a coach and a mentor, and not just someone who checks on the work. Okay. And the fifth skill. Okay. I believe this is Simon Sinek. It begins with why, but I'm going to say, make your decisions public. Put them out there into the ether, right? And explain the why. Your team will thank you a billionfold when they know the why behind the directive. Again, let's go away from Simon Sinek, and it all begins with why. But you have Friedrich Nietzsche, right? Which is a man can bear any how when he knows the why. I probably messed that up a little bit, right? But whenever you're asking your team to do something, and especially if it's super difficult or erroneous or obnoxious or painful, right? When you explain to them the why, and it's actually relatable to them as an individual because you've taken the time to know their why, you will get such a, okay, let's lock arms and let's go to war mindset out of your team. So make your decisions public. Talk about the why. Give them as much of the behind the scenes as you can. And this will not only just get them to be engaged, but you will be so much more trustworthy to them. You will be so much more of a role model. Like, they will have clarity, right? Like one of the things that I stressed in the video on Tuesday is just having a vision that is dictated clearly and communicated well. And when you do that publicly, it will just pay for itself 50-fold. Okay. Okay. So now I want to focus on how to lead people. And that's going to be kind of our next category here. So we talked about daily actions and habits, right? So do your daily alignment huddles, radically prioritize your time. Take time for personal reflection, either daily, every other day, weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. Do your weekly one-on-ones, but shift to coaching one-on-ones, not checking in one-on-ones, and narrate your decisions publicly. Make them known publicly. Okay. So these habits kind of transition into how to lead people. So I'm not going to spend too much time on these because I think they'll be pretty simple to absorb. But this first one we've already kind of talked about with the weekly one-on-ones of going from checking into coaching, right? Like I want that to be a holistic mindset change for you, right? Shift from managing outputs to mentoring thinking, right? Your goal as a leader right now is not to necessarily review the work. It's to level up the people that are doing the work because that will level up the work, right? Why are you going to review the output of someone without reviewing the someone? The someone comes first. This is one of the things that we've gotten fundamentally wrong for so long on the leadership level, right? Mentor the individual, level up the person, and their work will become better. Take yourself, for example. Did you all of a sudden start outputting great work and become a leader and become phenomenal and whatever it might be without leveling up yourself? Did the better work come before the better you? Or did the better you come before the better work? That's the key, right? Figure out how to make the people better and then transition that into you will naturally get the better work. And so ask people, right? Like, what options did you consider before landing here? How did you come to this conclusion? Why is this your plan? Right? Is this the highest priority? Is that what you should be working on? Right? Ask questions. Don't make demands. Okay. Number 2, create, how do I want to say this? Create a space of psychological or mental precision, right? So it's one thing to create a safe space where people feel okay, maybe failing or coming to you with something. But what you really, really want is you want people who are okay, willing to do those things on a public scale and are willing to just ask questions over and over and over again until things are clear and accessible and just down to action items, right? You should be able to tell your people the exact expectations, role they're playing, and what great work looks like. If you cannot do those 3 things, you are failing as a leader. If you are not providing the clarity and accountability, which you might not always do, and that's okay. You want to create an environment where every single person on your team will pick up in your slack and seek the clarity naturally. So it's not just about having a safe space, but actually actively cultivating that mental mindset of precision and execution and to not stop asking for clarity until they have it. Okay. Shifting feedback. So this is going to be the next one. Sorry, number 3. Shifting feedback to being a growth ritual, right? And this is going to be both praise and challenge. The thing that I actually had a conversation with a colleague of mine recently, previous colleague of mine, sorry, that it's kind of ironic. Praising somebody and ridiculing them can be the same conversation. And here's what I mean, right? So let's say somebody does something really, really well. We all know about cross training and leveling up other people. So when you see that somebody completed a project really well, you're like, oh my God, can you like maybe do a lunch and learn on that? Or can you create the documentation and train the team? Like that would be super, super awesome. Have the same reaction to the negative, right? If somebody realizes that maybe they go to use AI in a particular way and it was terrible, hey, that's a great discovery and other people might be making that same mistake. Can you either put together some documentation, kind of train the team, let them know, hey, this was not a good idea and here's why, right? Like make it a growing opportunity and one that levels everybody up and that this feedback loop, both positive and negative, is no matter what positive, right? It's the same conversation, do the same ask. So instead of being like, that was great, present it. That was terrible, I'm going to punish you behind the scenes. No, that was great, share it. That was terrible, share it. Share everything, right? Create the culture of collaboration in both directions, and everybody will be better for it. Okay. And along with this, celebrate people who dissent from you, who disagree with you, right? When somebody pushes back, like, first response, I appreciate that. Hold on, give me a second. Let me process, right? Like, genuinely take it in. When somebody comes up with data and they're like, hey, this is actually not a good idea, and here's why. Oh, can I see that? Like, can you show me what you're sending? Like, I don't want to make the same mistake if somebody else has already made it, right? Like, creating that culture where disagreement is built in, respectful, professional, and actually celebrated. Oh my God, you will get the best out of your people, because nobody knows everything, and nobody has oversight over everything, and nobody has been through every single technical solution or strategic solution or whatever, or problem solving method to everything. So the more brains you have it on, the better. So you want to welcome that. This kind of goes back to something I said earlier. Remove your ego from this equation. Get everyone on the team and in the company to remove their ego and just do their jobs and collaborate and execute. And this way, when you do have somebody who goes to somebody else and is like, I don't think that's a great idea, man. Like, or here's a different solution that I think is way better. Can we talk about it? Right? That it's not just like this stab to the heart and like, oh my God, I'm a terrible professional now. It's actually welcomed and really is seen as a good thing. So from a specific people's leadership perspective, shift from managing outputs to mentor thinking. Create a culture of psychological precision, not just safety. Use feedback as a growth ritual, both positive and negative, and celebrate when people dissent from you or have a different opinion than you. Okay? All right. Next set of skills that I want you to know is how to drive business results in a world that's nuts. Okay? So I've talked about going back to simplicity. And so what I really want to do is, along with that, because we're going back to basics, we're going back to keeping things simple. I actually think adapting a modality of operation around almost like an agile framework is key here. So stick to about, 3, maybe 4 outcomes per quarter. Build things into somewhere between 1 and, we'll say, 3-week chunks to where you can really iterate. And whatever kind of chunk or cycle you choose there, that is a chance to test, learn, evaluate, and adjust, right? And keep this cycle going. Like, this is how you fail fast, fail quick, pivot, right? Is you say, hey, here's my hypothesis. Let's together come up with a solution to said hypothesis. Okay, now let's implement said solution. Let's break it down into actually achievable chunks that are between 1 and 3 weeks long. Go. We'll evaluate at the end of the week. We'll evaluate at the end of 2 weeks, whatever, right? And so this allows you to have simple actions, speedy actions, and gather feedback continuously, right? Like, this cycle is really the root of being able to get things done with the rate of change that we are living in right now, right? If you are still having like super, super long 9-month project cycles that are just planned out to the T and bloated and no, like, I'm actually going to take a page out of software development here, right? And your planning stage should be requirement gathering and what the minimum viable product is. And when you have these two things, go. Break it into chunks, start taking action. Go, 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 go. Right? When you companies that are actually leveraging an agile execution are roughly 23% higher profitability and 18% higher productivity, according to Gallup and McKinsey. Okay. It is crucial and allows you to be super adaptable in the day and age that we're living in. Okay. And so the last thing that I want to focus on here is going to be how to drive customer success. You may not be in a leadership position that is really customer facing or customer focused, but at the end of the day, we all have a customer. Might be direct, might be indirect. Okay. But the first principle that I'm going to give you here is arguably your 101 class on leadership to some extent, which is that in this day and age, your customer experience is directly tied to your internal alignment. If your leadership is not aligned, if your people are not aligned, again, if we don't have that basic, simple clarity of vision, mission, systems, actions, outcomes, like if that is not defined and aligned from top to bottom, left to right, diagonal, and blah, 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 like your customer is going to suffer. That is where the customer experience begins. So while yes, you are making something for somebody and you need to A/B test with them and seek feedback and blah, blah, blah. Like if you are disorganized internally, you will fail your customer. And not only will you fail your customer, but they will go somewhere else because someone else will do your product better, faster, stronger. End of story. Like that is the day and age we live in. The state of rapid innovation also means rapid startups. Like right now, it is never easier to fulfill a niche, to start a company, to build yourself into a state of being competitive with other people who you shouldn't be competitive with. So someone will fill the gap if you lose it. Okay. So as leaders, we need to get alignment, communicate the vision, communicate clearly, get the best out of your people, and execute. Okay. And as a second to that, so not only do we have the internal alignment, right, but we are also the translators from the customer to product sales and service. Okay. And we as leaders, period, need to be able to take customer pain and turn it into action. And here's the thing: some of you might think, well, I mean, not me, right? Like I oversee manufacturing, or like me, I oversee technology. But here's the thing: you ironically get customer complaints and you just don't know it, right? When you look at maybe your defect rate, or on the technology side, when you see the type of tickets and support things that your customers are supporting, right? We need to be the translators over into the product sales and service teams, right? Like it doesn't matter how we're coming to those customer complaints. We need to not keep them siloed with us. So if you are having a defect problem in manufacturing, make it aware everywhere. Hey, we're having this problem. Here's what we're trying to do to solve it. Does anyone else have any ideas on the IT side? Hey, we're getting customers that are submitting these tickets just over and over and over again. Like, here's the trends. What ideas do people have to eliminate this trend? Right? Like, this is how we as leaders come together to solve the company problems. Don't always depend on your individual contributors. Don't always depend on your superiors. Your level is super useful and super valuable when banded together and working together. Okay. And the last one is look at the data. Use the data to drive your customer insights and analytics and identify friction points and changing of the experience. Like, I'll give you an example, right? So, we were having some struggles on the marketing side of one of the companies that I worked for. And it was because we were gathering literally just first name, last name, email in the sign up process. And then what we decided to do is we thought that we would then have like a sign up game that, like, oh, you have 10% of your profile complete. Get to 90 by doing this, or get to 100. Like almost sort of like a gamification score. People like to see their score go up, but it's not a fun game. Like, let's just be honest, right? So it led to a lot of lacking data about our personas and who our customers were. So we did it on the front end, added minimal friction. Like, yes, it did add additional friction because obviously we're asking for more information. Then the gamification stayed, but became truly optional information. But now our marketing could skyrocket. Revenue increased. Campaigns from a marketing perspective were so much more successful and so much more targeted and so much more segmented. We had so much more data about our customer that we can make significantly better decisions. Okay. So for you as a leader, what you need to do to drive your customer results, or understand, it starts with your internal alignment. You need to translate all customer feedback and interactions and pain points to product sales and service, and look at the data to identify the opportunities and be willing to re-engineer and redo it. So with all of that, let's get to the 10 upgrades that you need to make for 2025. You need to move from an inspirational speaker to being an execution architect. You need to replace identity optics or looking good with intellectual diversity and output clarity. You need to build AI fluency, right? You need to not just make a safe environment, but use it strategically. Okay. Condition your teams from change. Don't just manage them. Think in systems and consequences, not silos and tasks. Lead through coaching and training and leverage, not controlling and authority and compensation. Time block yourself for creation and execution so that you are not just reacting all the time. Tell the truth over anything else. Earn the trust with your company and your contributors and the people around you. Okay, and look at the performance that it gets you. Design an environment rooted in learning. Build from the bottom up and anchor everything to your customer impact. Let the outside guide the inside and align. That is what we are doing here as leaders in 2025. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. If you have anything that really resonates with you or that you want to discuss further or you want to see future content on or a dedicated video on, leave a comment below. I will respond to every single comment every single time. Check the track record. If you have feedback on the content, I always welcome that as well because the whole point of this is to drive value for you and your feedback is always welcomed. I also do content for X, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, so check me out there. And don't forget, every Friday, I do a live weekly unscripted Q&A webinar for you to ask leadership, career questions, whatever it might be. Link to sign up is down below. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, I appreciate you joining me. Thanks.